So if you told me that Deandre Ayton was created in a lab, I wouldn't completely not believe you, seeing as the guy is 7'1", 260 pounds, has a 7'6" wingspan, and an over 40-inch vertical. And all those things combined have allowed him to be quite the NBA player so far. His box score numbers have been going pretty nuts lately, as he can roll to the basket effectively, score on the low post, and he can take you out to around 15 to 20 feet if you don't want to defend him from out there either. But the one thing everybody wants to talk about, rightfully so, is the defense, as Ayton gets a front row seat to D'Angelo Russell's basket on that one. We're going to talk about the defense first. So, there have definitely been times when Ayton struggles with either knowing what to do or executing what he's supposed to do. In this Magic game, there were a few lazy closeouts on Nikola Vucevic. He has a problem stepping out to the perimeter in general. Here, he was supposed to be the help defense on Joe Harris, and just seemed like he wasn't really aware that he had to be. The Wizards killed him in the pick and roll quite a few times, but he also has had a really good defensive performance as well against the Orlando Magic in that overtime, able to cut off Vucevic there and contest the hook shot. He does not allow Fournier to get ahead of steam towards the basket, and then Warren can catch up to him. He switches on to DJ Augustine and contests that shot. Blocks Evan Fournier as the last line of defense here. Really, the entire overtime, he was impressive. Cuts off Augustine from getting a layup here. He's able to step out onto Aaron Gordon and get a good contest, which forced a miss. And then on the very last possession, nearly steals the ball away, and that was the victory for the Suns. Orlando did not score that much in that overtime, and Ayton was a big reason for it. So his defensive potential is certainly there, but again, he does have some problems. Defenders have been able to make him look silly if they get ahead of steam towards the rim. This one here, he basically just creates a runway for D'Angelo Russell to do whatever he wants. And his best effort at stopping Bradley Beal is a little swipe that pretty much did nothing. It would help him if he had a defensive four next to him, because TJ Warren isn't that. But even so, Ayton's got to improve, and hopefully he can. Now we're going to get to the offense, where I can be way more positive. Or actually, no, we're not just yet. One other thing with Ayton is he is going to be a really good rebounder. He is already. So teams are not going to grab a whole lot of offensive boards against him. So I think that raises his defensive value a little bit. Sure, he's still going to have to get better, but that's something at least. Anyway, now we're going to be a bit nicer to Ayton as we talk about his offense. So the first thing I want to praise is his finishing. He shoots 75% at the rim, which is about Joel Embiid levels. So if he gets good positioning down there, with how soft of a touch he has on top of his height and his savviness around the basket, if you will, your best bet is to just not let him get the ball that deep. He is an alley-oop target. I expect him to be one of the best alley-oop guys in the league for a long time in his career. His rolling skills should be pretty impressive as well. Because of how athletic he is, a lot of bigs can't keep up with him, and I don't think a lot of wings are going to want to provide help when he could dunk on them at any time. I would expect that Ayton will lead the league in dunks, at least a few times in his career. And now we have to appreciate the jump shot. What's so cool about his jumper, besides the form, is how quick he is to shoot it. You can tell that he's worked on it quite a lot. The guy's polish is pretty insane for a, 19 or 20-year-old with his size and physical gifts. And if we expand on those physical gifts a little bit more, his offensive rebounding should be among the best in the league as he enters his prime a few years from now. I mean, on NBA.com, there's a solid maybe 20 big guys who are considered better at offensive rebounding than him. But given that he's got such a long way to go and so many things to learn, I would say where he's at right now as an offensive rebounder is still pretty damn good. So even if he has a bad night offensively, he could just grab like 12 of these and make up for it that way. So yeah, the offensive gifts are really there, and we haven't even gotten to his main thing, which is of course the post game. So he's not getting the ball as much as the Joel Embiids and LaMarcus Aldridges of the world in the low post. But even so, his numbers kind of line up with theirs in the sense of they get about twice as many attempts, but his field goals made and field goal percentage are not far from them. So I think as he just gets more chances of scoring against defenders with his back to the basket, he's going to be one of the best in the league. His array of moves, whether they're hook shots or drop steps and turnaround jumpers, and sometimes just bodying the defender out of the way, are just so damn difficult to deal with. I think you could suggest that Ayton is what we all wanted Dwight Howard to be, where we saw just how much of a powerhouse he was, but could he develop a real offensive game? Well, Deandre Ayton's already got that, so if he ends up being one of the best offensive players in the league, I'm not going to be surprised. And if I can praise his defense a little bit more, it's not like the overtime against the Magic was the only time that he's had some nice defensive highlights. You could say he's gotten better as the season has gone along, and if that defense ends up fixing itself for him, then he's going to be a hell of a player.